Using these yarns, I'm going to be making a scrap yarn bag, and for the base, I'm going to be using this navy blue yarn. I went on Google to see if I could find any bag inspiration, but I wasn't really feeling like recreating what I was seeing, so I decided that I'm going to go ahead and just freehand this. I started off by making a chain of around 7, and for the stitch, I decided to use a half double crochet. At this point, I was satisfied with this length for a bag base, but to me, the first row looked a bit wonky. Regardless of that, I went ahead and started working around the sides of the bag base to create to transition into the body of the bag. After a while of using this glue, I decided it was time to incorporate some new colors. I started off with this golden yarn, but then I just switched to white, and from there, with no particular color scheme in mind, I just kept switching up the colors. But at this point, I realized that I did something wrong. So I started off using half double crochets, but then at some point I ended up switching to single crochet, and that was not my intention. So because of that mistake, I decided that, you know what, this is already a mess, let's make a chain. And honestly, I do not know where I was going to head with this, but I decided to allow my hands to just take control and do what it felt was I don't even know, to be honest. But here I realized that I needed to be able to attach the main part of the body of the bag to the transitioning sides. So I had to pull out a few of the stitches that I made in order to make that attachment to the transitioning sides from the bag base. I slip stitch the into the side walls of the bag. Honestly, I do not know what to call that part, but this is what it's looking like, and at this point I'm just going along with the flow. Whatever works. I really was considering just stopping, but I continued nonetheless, and let's see what we're going to have as the outcome. I was really curious to see how this really work out. That was one of the reasons why I continued with the making of this bag, and honestly it was just not looking so right. Also, I have already started cutting up the yarn as I switch colors, so it only made sense to just keep going. And looking at this now with all those yarn tails to weave in, I'm really wondering why I color switch so frequently. But it's a scrap yarn bag after all. Once I was through with making the body of the bag, I decided to join the sides together, but honestly, it wasn't really working out so wonderful, so I decided to just clean up the yarn mess that I've made. Instead of using the crochet hook, I decided to sew the sides together with a needle, and then I had to weave in the all those tails from the body of the bag. Disregarding the gaps at the bottom of the bag, it wasn't looking too bad now that the ends are weaved in and the sides are sewn together. To finalize the look of the bag, I decided to work an edge around the top of the bag. For that part, I decided that I was going to be using one yarn color instead of switching in between multiple yarn colors. And this time I intentionally used single crochet, and I've been using like around 3 different stitches for this bag. Putting a stitch marker in place without doing any counting, I decided that those mark stitches would be where I start the bag straps. For the straps of the bag, I decided that I wasn't going to be making them too thick, as this is just a fun project and not something that I intend to wear like outside. I mean, I might, but currently that's not my intention. The gaps I had told you to disregard earlier, I decided to see if I could make a chain stitch like border between the body of the bag and what I had called the transitioning sides. And to be honest, that was not working out so wonderful, as it was causing the bag to bunch up, so I had to just pull that out. And then I decided, you know what, let me try to do it a different way. This was another unsuccess, but did I give up? No, I did not. Instead, I pulled it out and decided to try with a sewing needle, which was also unsuccessful. So I decided to scrap the whole idea. And now it's time for the grand bag reveal. All in all, this wasn't a complete waste of time, to be honest. It doesn't look too bad. I'd give it maybe a 7 or maybe a 6.5 out of 10.